Welcome back. I'm Liz Charlene Tate, the lead coach for the Western Professional Development Center. We are in season 5 of the Itsy Bitsy Show. This season is called TikTok Highlights, celebrating early childhood moments from an unexpected place. We have titled episode 5, Powerful Interactions, Plain and Simple. Sheila, as always, it is lovely to be with you on another episode of the Itsy Bitsy Show. And Professor Sheila, would you explain to our audience why and how we came up with this title, please?
You know, Liz and I were watching the videos that Rose and Jen submitted. And what we found was that the interactions between the adults and the children that you're going to see in tonight's TikTok videos had so much developmental gold in them, but the interactions themselves were to the untrained eye, no big deal, right? No big deal. And I think that's something we struggle with when people view our field as, you know, you're just playing, or that's sweet, or that must be so easy. When in reality, the trained eye looks at these TikTok videos, and I could just go on and on and on about all of the quality that is happening in brain and body and social emotional development. So we were playing with what to name this episode, and we were like, these are just the most amazing interactions. They're so powerful, but at the same time, they're really simple. And I hope it makes families and teachers who watch these and hear us dive in and dissect them feel really validated that the really simple things they do mean so much. So I'm happy to be back with Liz. And as always, my name is Sheila Gould. I'm chair of the education department at Holyoke Community College, and I supervise our student teachers. And I have 2 really incredible student teachers here tonight. And I'm thrilled that they get to chat with everybody. So I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves. Jen, can you start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Snow, and I run a family childcare called Little Sprouts Childcare, which is located in Western Mass. And I'm currently working on finishing my associate's degree in early childhood education.
And Jen, I was just at your program last week, and I got to see goats and a pony and chickens and babies and toddlers and preschoolers, and it was just the best day. It was so fabulous. I loved being there. Thanks for being on tonight.
Thank you.
Rose, say hello.
Hello, my name is Nose, and my name is Rose. I'm doing a practicum my wonderful preschool classroom. I'm so lucky they can have me. I'm so enjoy I can be there.
I love being there with you. I was there also last week, and they were having some outside child chosen free play, and I overstayed my welcome, I think, because I was enjoying my time outside with them so much. So thanks for being here tonight, Rose. So this episode focuses on ways that children build self-esteem, positive self-concepts through play-based interactions, but not just interactions with people and adults, but also interactions with materials. So before we watch the 2 videos, let's talk about why you chose them. Jen, can you tell us a little bit about how you and Rose landed on the 2 videos we're going to look at tonight?
Sure. Well, TikTok is still a new platform for myself and Rose. We're still learning, but we're becoming more familiar with it as time goes on. So what we did is we plugged in different phrases to narrow our search of videos. So we used parents interacting with kids and activities with your kids. And then we looked at the hashtags, kids of TikTok, babies of TikTok, and toddlers of TikTok. And that's how we came across these 2 videos.
I bet that brought up a lot of videos for you. What made you narrow to these 2 in particular before you had to, you know, turn in your assignment?
We went back and forth on a couple of them, but we ultimately decided that the first one with blocks, it was just a really beautiful interaction with the caregiver, and I think it's an infant stacking, and the second video was another great interaction between caregivers and the child, and it was just simple things that you can have at home, and it's a nice interaction.
Well, fantastic. Let's get to those videos so that we can all enjoy them and have a smile.
All right, let me make sure that the block one is first because I know we wanted to watch that one first. Here it comes. My goodness, the smile already.
Did you just do that? Uh-oh. Come on, you can do it. Come on. You gonna try a different way? Oh my!
Oh,
Love it.
amazing. Should we watch the other one right away?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Amazing.
I love it. You know, we keep talking about interactions and simple interactions. And I just have to say that while we were looking at these videos, we're preparing for this recording, we have to acknowledge that Dr. Junlei Lee from Harvard, we interviewed him a couple seasons back, but just about this, the power of really simple interactions. This is, I finally realized those aren't blocks. I think those are mom's makeup products or skincare products. And it's just a moment. It's just this moment. But there's this, the eye contact and the shared smiles and this mirroring that's happening that is so validating for everybody, not just for the little one, but for the adults too.
You know, Jen, I think about the work you do, not only as a parent, but with the variety of age groups that are in your program. And one of the things that can be hard to do is recognize when you're in one of those moments, when you're in one of those moments where the child is trying something and they're connecting with you over it. How do you make time for that? And how do you stop and recognize it?
Well, it is tricky. And usually you can recognize it when you know the child is smiling and you're smiling, and it's you know a safe, happy place, and you're both experiencing this powerful interaction between each other. It can be, I think, we were playing with Play-Doh, and I had a child that was stacking the Play-Doh, kind of like the first TikTok with blocks. And we had one of those, we shared one of those interactions, and they were struggling. And so I kind of stepped back and just encouraged, and they just tried it they kept trying different ways until they finally got it. And I was like, yay, you did it.
Knowing when to step back is such a hard thing. You know, it makes me think of my early years in the field. The first place I worked was a Montessori program, and I did some of my Montessori training. And one of the first things that you learn is when to observe. And that skill does not always come naturally. It's our instinct to help children, especially when we choose this career. We get into it because we love kiddos and we want to help them. But knowing when to step back and allowing for them to develop that positive self-concept that they can achieve and they can problem solve. And I think the caregiver in the first video did a great job of that. You could do it, and then just not always talking, occasional encouragement, but then allowing for some silence, allowing for the child's own little wheels to turn in their head and think and problem solve. What do you think, Liz?
Oh, for sure. I think that there can be this urge to fix or make a child feel better when they're struggling, but there's nothing wrong with struggling. There's actually nothing wrong with not being able to figure something out, and giving children that space and sort of modeling for them how to be comfortable in the not knowing place and not rushing them to the problem solving place, the fixing it, is it's sort of the secret sauce. If we can, it's about patience, not only in watching them and knowing that you know how you could fix it, but just letting it happen. It does require sort of this ask of oneself to just be still, where there might be this urge to rush and protect or something like that. And yeah, it's funny when we were talking about this idea of those moments when you know something special is happening, and how often they do happen in a family childcare, in a preschool setting, in a baby room, an infant toddler room, and how often they happen. And yet the day goes by so fast, you don't even have time to realize that they happened. So it is good to be able to pause and realize, oh, wow, I was there when, that child realized that they could put 3 blocks and stack them on top of each other and do it successfully. I actually saw that happen for the first time. It is a really special moment.
It reminds me when we talk about behavior and how all behavior is communication. And I feel like there was a lot of communicating in the playing catch video without any talking, just because the play was understood by both parties. I'm wondering, Rose, what are instances where you find yourself playing with children where there's just this quiet understanding of interaction?
I think the moment I find out, just like the grown up no need to talk too much. You can see like to catch the child's eye contact, and even though they are not saying anything, but you can find out there, and then what sort of following they will be to do or wanted to do. And at that moment, I think it's a time. I like the Lizzie use a word as a space. I think that which is really important, let kids grow up by independent. And then also that was an easy way to build child's self-confidence on that way. Sometimes I'm using the easy, it doesn't mean it is easy. Everybody know it is not easy, but giving a space, that which really the simple and easy one, let child grow up by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Recognize when it's time to just take a deep breath and not move to the next thing. There's this thing around, especially nowadays, this sense of urgency that can happen to us as we're moving through our days. And so how do you just sort of know there's no rush right now? And that children see that. They can see when they have your full attention. They can see it, they feel it. It's the secret sauce. That's what I keep thinking. There's this magical thing that happens between two people, whether you call it an energy, whatever you want to call it. I tend to feel like it's this like magical sauce that's just cooking right there. But it takes some reflection and just that practice of stillness to notice it.
It's funny because we do seek that feeling still as adults, that feeling where somebody gets you even though you're not talking. Think about when you're in, a staff meeting or some sort of meeting for work, and you make eye contact with your best work friend, and you both have the same thoughts and the same energy and the same idea stemming from whatever's happening, and you get that feeling.
Mhm.
We get that with our simple interactions with kiddos too, that meeting of the eyes, that meeting of the smiles, or just that understanding that we're both really loving this material that we're interacting with. I love the block play video. I'm so passionate about block play and how essential it is. And I love when I see families making space for that. So one of my favorite pictures I have of my oldest daughter of her sitting in the kitchen stacking canned goods. And I
Mhm.
always made sure my canned goods were on an open shelf because my kids like to play with them.
Yep.
And I just think it's so great that household items can be so beautiful for development and for interaction. You don't need anything fancy. You just need the space and the calm and the love.
we use a lot of recycling too.
Tell me what you love to save and use.
Boxes, plastic containers. I'm trying to think of, I think those are the two main ones that we'll reuse. But yeah, any containers that I can find with lids or lids
Yeah.
that can be taken off, or boxes that we can tape back up and use for stacking.
I always love to have tissue boxes in block area because kids can turn them into robot shoes, or they turn them into beds or boats. And in both infant toddler rooms that I've taught in, as well as preschool classrooms, I always made sure that part of blocks was the loose parts, so it wasn't just the typical things you would see. But sometimes I'd ask people to just bring in the empty Cheerios boxes, or do you have any jewelry boxes and things like that, and scarves. You're right, like anything that, because they're gonna use their imagination to make it happen. So
I love the idea of non-prescriptive items that
Yeah.
the child can imagine. I think sometimes we feel like we have to get the kid version of everything. Like, let's say you're set up your dramatic play center to look like a flower shop. We all of a sudden feel like we need a plastic watering can and a kid version of all the tools. But in reality, bring in the real version of a
Yeah.
lot of things, or just non-prescriptive items. The things in the kitchen center don't have to be plastic food. They can be pine cones. And then voila, all of a sudden they're eggs, or they're, beets, or whatever the kiddos want to pretend that they are. And I love that with the tissue boxes, Liz. I never did that. Why didn't I think of that, Liz?
Yeah, maybe it was me. Maybe I didn't make enough cardboard box robots when I was a child. But even to this day, if somebody brought in a bunch of boxes, I'd be like, all right, it's time to make a robot, people.
Obviously.
Well,
That is so
you both
fabulous.
I'm so glad that you brought these videos to us. And I love how when we come together like this, we don't know where the conversation is going to go. And I think that's a perfect example of what happens with interactions between people. You might think you know what you're planning for the day or a curriculum activity, but if you can just sort of relax into it and let it happen, it can take you places you had no idea you'd go.
I'm really, really thankful that you were both on this episode tonight and able to share your experiences working in a center-based program and in a family childcare setting. Thank you for sharing your experiences on the Zoomcast and for sharing your journey with Liz and I. We always end our episodes with a quote. So today I thought it would be really fun to choose one from Lev Vygotsky, who really believed in social culture theory, as we talked about interactions. So this is just a simple one, and this is how we'll end tonight. Through others, we become ourselves. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Thank you.